and I have to cry myself to sleep while listening to some Ali Sethi. Do you know how Billie Eilish made a whole new album in her brother's tiny room without any studio, without any label? That album won every Grammy it was nominated for, all five. That wasn't an accident. And here's this thing about music that everyone acts like is just some pure, sacred, untouched form of art that just exists and makes you feel things. That is beautiful. Yes, sure, whatever. But still, you know what? Your brain on music looks identical to your brain on drugs. I'm not being dramatic, I'm just being a neuroscientist, like a very unqualified one. But yeah, still. When you hear a song you love, your brain's reward system activates and releases a dopamine. Yeah, the same chemical behind food, money, compliments from strangers on internet, and the same stuff. The exact same neurochemical reward loop. Which means technically your sad playlist is a sort of controlled substance. And it definitely gets weirder. You know that feeling when a song hits something in your chest? Suddenly you have chills running down your spine. And you don't know if you want to cry or scream, or maybe both. Scientists call that fission. French word. Yeah, because obviously only French could make full body electric shock sound so elegant. Around 50% of people experience shivers, a lump in their throat, or goosebumps when they hear certain music. The other 50% are either lying or simply haven't found their songs yet. The chordate nucleus, a part of your brain, anticipates the emotional peak before it arrives, and then the nucleus accompanies fires at the release. Right after the peak, your brain is essentially doing the emotional equivalent of leaning forward in suspense. It's craving the drop before the drop even happens. Music is teaching your brain to want and then rewarding it for wanting. That is structurally how addiction works. I said what I said. And don't even get me started on sad music. Because here's the thing that almost most of us finds confusing, and that is why do we voluntarily listen those songs which made us cry? Like we are intentionally making us cry on some songs. Like what is the evolutionary benefit of putting on Ali Sethi at 2 a.m.? Emotionally, now I'll tell you. Intense music can stimulate your brain's pleasure center even when the emotion is negative, like sad music, some sort of sadness, anger, and the number of goosebumps actually correlates with how much dopamine is released. Even when the music is devastating, it's like the more it wrecks you, the more your brain wants it. You're not broken, you're just extremely dopaminergic, which sounds like a compliment. I mean, yeah, whatever. Like, but here where it gets actually sinister. Music was never just about feelings. It was about control. Researchers have proposed that music evolved to coordinate emotional states in groups, to bond war bands together, to signal collision. Darwin thought it was about attracting mates. Other scientists think it literally synchronized. Early human societies got everyone's heart beating at the same time, at the same pace, physically, through rhythm entrainment. Which, if you've been at a concert where the whole crowd moves together, you know exactly what that feels like. And it is terrifying in the best way possible. Music has been widely used since ancient times for broad purposes, soothing infants, energizing soldiers, anchoring rituals. And then capitalism happened. And now the supermarket you go to has specifically chosen a tempo for their background music based on how fast they want you to move through that aisle. Slower music, more time in store, more spending. This is a documented, studied, deployed strategy. You're being orchestrated while buying cereal. Advertisers figured this out a long time ago. A wide ranging 2013 study synthesized 400 scientific papers and found that music reduces stress, improves mood, boosts immunity, and increases social bonding. They read 400 papers so they could figure out which jingle makes you trust a brand. I mean, are they even okay? I hope they are okay. And your gym playlist? Not innocent either. Sports psychologists literally design pre-performance music the way generals design battle formations. Tempo, key, lyrical aggression, all calibrated to specific psychological outcomes. Your motivation is ingenious. So here is where we land. Undoubtedly, music is the oldest manipulation technology on this planet. It predates writing, it predates religion. Arguably, there is no society or culture in human history that doesn't have some sort of music, some form of music. Like zero, not even one. It's more universal than language. I mean, it's more universal than any other thing. And your brain, your very sophisticated brain, a very evolved brain, responds to a good chord the same way it responds to a shot of dopamine, the same way it responds to human touch, or the same way it responds to falling in love, which is either the most beautiful thing you've ever heard or a deeply unsettling indictment of free will. Personally, I think it's both. I think that's the whole point, right? Anyway, it's 3 a.m. and I have to cry myself to sleep while listening to some Ali Sethi. So, see you in the next one.